Hey guys, this is So Approachable,
the podcast for social misfits who've always wanted to be a part of a book club.
but perhaps you've been overlooked in the real world, or you're just too busy. We get it.
This is your invitation. You're in good company. Let's get into it.
Hey, that's Sarah.
And that's Jamie. This week we're doing The Housemaid by Freida McFadden.
Yes, a psychological thriller. I'm going to just read the back. We're just going to touch on it very lightly because then we're going to deep dive. It says, "Welcome to the family," Nina Winchester says as I shake her elegant, manicured hand. I smile politely, gazing around the marble hallway. Working here is my last chance to start fresh. I can pretend to be whoever I like, but I'll soon learn that the Winchesters' secrets are far more dangerous than my own.
That's just a tidbit. But if you haven't already gone back and listened, go back and listen to our last one because, spoiler alert, here it comes.
Right. This whole episode is spoilers and you're warned. So go back to our TLDR episode if you want to hear all of the background on this book, more about the author and the fun facts and the fact that there's a movie. Like, there's so much that you miss in that episode. So Go listen to that one. But if you've read the book, join us on this journey because we have thoughts.
Yes, so many. Don't even know where to start.
I feel like we have to start with Millie.
Yes.
I know I just read from Nina. That was actually from Millie's perspective.
Yes.
Millie's 27, pretty, seems like she's a strong female character, and I want to like her.
Yes, of course.
And it's first person. I do enjoy that.
Yeah.
But we also learned that she just got out of prison.
Right.
So
Struggling, to make ends meet.
but never says what she did.
Right, yes. Not right. Oh, actually, does it?
No. It never says until
A while.
almost the very end.
Yes. Okay, yes.
So the whole time you're kind of like, well, what did she do? Like,
Can't be
she
that
seems
bad.
like this nice person, but if nobody wants to hire her, or if they check her record, it's not going to be something simple.
Right.
So
Like
I was
red
already
red flags.
I was already like, I feel like she killed somebody. I don't know. I'm looking at the book and I'm like,
I had no idea, and I try my hardest just to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna follow through, and whatever happens, happens. So I was like, she obviously just did something horrible, so we're gonna find out what it is.
right. But I did want to root for her. I felt like, come on, girl, you got this. You can get the job.
Well, you do kind of feel bad for her because she's struggling. She wants to do a job. She wants a job. She's a hard worker and willing to do whatever. As you'll soon learn, do whatever to make ends meet. And so you quickly go, okay, there's more. There's more.
All right, but then we meet Nina. And what can you say about that? I mean, Nina is crazy, and from the get-go, and you're like, what?
I hated her for a while.
You get whiplash, and you feel the whiplash that Millie felt.
Yes.
While you're reading, you're like, wait, what? Huh? Oh, and you're like, this is not a real person.
I mean, the kitchen. As someone who cooks dinner and cleans up after kids, I was angry for Millie.
Yes.
Who would do that? Mm-hmm. I just don't understand.
Throwing things
the milk spilled everywhere. You're like, what is wrong with? And then you think, okay, then you're going in all of it going, there's got to be something wrong with her.
Right. And then there's so many hints along the way. And not even hints. It wasn't subtle. People were like, she's loony. She's certifiable nuts.
I was thinking, white walls, where are they?
Right.
Yes.
Well, she is always wearing white clothes. And I was like, is she always wearing white? Because she was in an insane asylum. And
I mean, yes, all the things. And then you meet her daughter, which actually makes it even worse because then you're looking at it going, all right, come on, Cecilia. You walk out like children of the corn in your outfits every time.
Yes.
Going, what is this?
I like to point out a quote, or anytime I'm reading a book and I'm like, oh, that was really poignant, or I want to remember that. And this is the one quote that I pulled from the book, and it was just, yes, you are creepy girl number 3. You get in the mind of Millie when she's meeting this child, and she says if they were casting a movie for creepy, scary, cult-like children, this would be the girl.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that was exactly what I was picturing the
yes.
entire time.
Absolutely. All I could see was this no personality, walk out in these pristine dresses. I mean, crazy.
Just creepy, pale. I'm picturing all the lace and yes. And trying to be a nanny to that.
Right.
Not cool.
Definitely what I would picture from a horror movie.
Yes. So then enters Andrew.
Perfect gentleman.
Man. What
He's
could
just handsome and just endearing.
Reliable, a great father.
Absolutely. A great husband.
So in love.
Oh, yes. All the things. And just seems so supportive of everything. Even amongst her craziness, he just seems like he's patient with her. Yeah. All those things.
How far along would you say you were before you started getting suspicious of characters?
Well, I quickly realized, okay, I'm 30-something. Men are not that perfect.
No.
And I'm like, if this is like a New York Times best-selling author, she's not going to put the writing on the wall like this perfect man. There's something to this. And so it probably was the middle of part 1 when I thought, okay, he's too perfect.
Yes. I mean, it was nice to have somebody who was not crazy.
Right.
But it was also why would he put up with crazy?
Yes.
This does not make any sense. And his reaction to things that she was doing just didn't add up.
Right.
And so it's just this, I don't know who done it. I don't know who's the bad person, but the dynamics here are very weird.
Right. Yes. And then part of me kind of almost thought, okay, what is she doing to him to make him pull this certain demeanor? Maybe it's that. And so you do get that there's this crazy woman. There's got to be something wrong.
But then, the ladies from the PTA.
Oh, yes.
We're talking about the prenup. And I was like, well, that's the other way around. Did they have it backwards where it's actually, Nina's the rich one and, he's just,
right.
trying to hold it together. And so that's where I was like, there might be something shifty there.
Right. And they definitely saw, oh, she's crazy.
I will say that from the beginning, Enzo stood out in my mind.
Yes.
And he's the gardener, the buff, rough, Italian, suave gardener.
Yeah.
that everybody notices.
Right. And even the PTA.
Oh, yes. Everybody notices and wants a piece of. And
yes.
I just, rolled my eyes so hard when Millie, tried to seduce him. And I was like, that was the dumbest move possible, sis.
I know.
So dumb. But the fact that Andrew pointed out and was suspicious of Enzo started making me suspicious. But I thought that he was an undercover agent.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
I thought that when Andrew was he's always in our yard. Why is he always in our yard? And I was like, oh, because they're investigating because something shifty is happening in this house and they're trying to figure it out.
See, and I thought he was trying to be there to protect, Nina. And so I kind of looked at it from a different perspective. Oh, was he there kind of watching over? Because when he said, that it was dangerous, he didn't specify anything.
Right.
And so in that, you just get the snippet of...
Well, and even in that one sentence where... She's like, no, it's okay. Nina's gone. His response is, no, she's...
Yeah. And then cut it off.
And it was cut off in mid-sentence.
Yes.
And so it sounded like he was going to say, no, she's not gone. She's around the corner or she's in the house or something. I was like, no, she's not the problem, was what he would have said.
Right. True.
But we didn't hear that.
But we didn't.
So she thinks that it's still Nina.
Yes, and the author does that well of making you think and twist and turn and okay, well, I want you to open your mind in that. It could be this way, it could be that way.
Yeah. I will say on my list of characters here, I don't have it written down, but Evelyn. Did you...
Andrew's mother.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
The first time that it showed up on a package, I was like, who is this person?
Right,
I know this is a suspicious person.
Yes.
This is somebody that I need to pay attention to. So I put that down in my notes because, again, I'm trying to be smarter than the author here.
Of course, yes.
And I was like, this just isn't adding up. I don't like it. Like, this person, it just stuck with me from the first mention. I was like, no, not good. So at the end, when it comes full circle, and I was like, I felt so validated that she was an awful person.
Well, and awful people create awful people. And so, man, yes, awful. It was something. It literally was. But I will say one of my favorite parts is that Detective Connors.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, the fact that, like, that all just was, like, wiped away, almost scot clean. Like, that felt so good to read and go, yes.
Yes, because at that point, I feel like...
But he's not till the very end.
Right.
So you have to read the book to get to the very end, to get to him.
Yes.
And really...
I guess we can get there then. And I guess you just answered. What is one thing that you liked about it? I think I really enjoyed the casual voice. The fact that this was first person and not like I was inside Millie's head.
Yeah.
And I feel like she was just kind of a funny person.
Yeah.
Like, just humorous. But then I was also like, you're kind of flighty, or like, I just don't understand you. You're not my kind of person.
No.
But I enjoyed hearing her spin on things.
I did too. I think sometimes when you're, like, out looking in, it's like you get a different perspective. So I liked the way this was written.
Well, and I think it has to be in first person for a psychological thriller.
Right.
Because we are inside her head.
Absolutely.
And getting freaked out. I think there were so many warnings in just the first chapter.
Yes.
And they're short chapters. But, like...
Well, the prologue, I mean...
Yes.
You read those, 3-4 pages, and...
Right.
You're
and
hooked.
It's just, like, everything's creepy all the time. But I just felt like it was overkill.
Yeah.
In the first chapter, and it was like, everything's a red flag. Or, like, I'm assuming that something bad is going to happen at any second. And... like, I felt like that was maybe a little overdramatic.
I do think from part 1 to part 2, if you look at the differences of them, I do feel like she could have shifted just a little bit of it to make it more even out. Because, yes, part 1 captivated, and as you kept reading, you wanted to keep reading to find out what happened. And I guess maybe, and just maybe, she pushed all of it so that way you were like, okay, there's so many red flags. I have no idea where this is going. Everybody has a red flag. What's going on?
Right.
And yes, there's that. All right, one thing I liked about it. I know we were talking about the end. I did love the epilogue. I don't know what it was so funny, but I loved it. That it made me go, wow, that was so great. I mean, I like the beginning and the end, all the meat, of course, in the middle. It really was great.
I mean, I flew through it, so it definitely was compelling. Before we get to the end, I think we need to talk about the spoilers.
Yes.
Or, like, just all of the twists and turns and the things that surprised us. I hate stories that involve affairs. Like, I just wanted to punch them in the face.
Yes.
Like, it's not even funny. Like, it's not enjoyable to read to me. And I'm just like, you're about to make a big mistake. You're about to make a really big mistake. Like, I don't even care how crazy these people are.
Yes.
Like, this is...
right.
ridiculous.
Like, respect yourself enough to, right.
Right.
Yes.
I was like, oh, and of course the situation is going to be just right, and we're going to go out, and we're going to have a hotel, and we're going to... I was like, oh my goodness.
And wearing the perfect white dress.
Yeah.
His color, as we find out, yes.
Yeah.
That it's... I mean, yes. I mean, that whole scenario in that, it was like... come on now, let's go. I get she's crazy, but...
Okay, so we learned that she's crazy and that she has been institutionalized for trying to drown her child and kill herself.
Yes.
Which is insane, too. Pardon the pun.
Yes.
But I also felt like Millie had a good perception of it, and she was like, I've seen the way she looks at her child. Like, that's not the way that a mother looks at a daughter that she's trying to kill. Yes. And so that was a green flag.
Right.
Like, set that off, and I was like, okay, so maybe that didn't actually happen, or it wasn't the way, or she was framed, or there was something else. Because, yes, as a mother, the scene where we actually hear it from Nina's perspective, I was like distraught.
I honestly, it made me go, I am so glad that this is not what I thought, because, man, that whole time I thought, okay, she's crazy. Why is she not behind bars if that's really what she did?
Right.
And I just couldn't understand, like, why. Also, then part of me, in the backhand, I knew he was, like, good guy, but why is he still with her?
Yeah. And, like, them trying to have kids and, like, that's another thing that I still don't understand why he wanted kids so badly. Like, if it was, like, a sadistic thing, why then did he never do anything to Cece?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, there's a lot of stuff there. So, what were your thoughts about the attic? And the fact that, like, when Millie was put up there, like, that was her room.
Okay, before she even gets up there, okay, let's talk about the scratches on the door. The fact that the lock is on the outside. I mean, come on. Don't you see the writing on the wall? There is something wrong. This tiny, dingy little attic. I don't care how... I guess I've never been to prison, so I don't know. She's desperate, but... That desperate?
It's better than the backseat of her car.
I mean, but they had a whole nother room.
Right. But you can't be so bold as to ask the rich and wealthy people to, like, look kindly on you. I did think it was interesting, though, and I don't know if Millie, like, questioned it, because they said they'd never had live-in help before.
Yeah.
And so, like, where are the scratches from? Or, like, why is there a cot up there? Or, like, it just felt very strange.
The window was all weird, too. You know, like how she couldn't open the window. That there was just a lot of really strange things.
If a window is painted shut, you can definitely bang it a couple times. So, like, I feel like paint is not, like, glue or, like, cement. Like, it is not a forever thing. Like, you could jam it.
There's got to be some way.
Yes.
There has to be.
That just bugged me. And if you're actually locked up there, like, break the glass.
I was like, yes, break the glass. Why are you not breaking the glass and yelling out the window to Enzo, who's down there, your savior, that, you know, hot hunk of a man. There he is.
We're just locked up here. Cool. I want to know what happened all the time that... How do I ask this? Like, Millie is always saying, like, she has no idea what Nina is actually doing with her time. And she's, like, going off and going to the PTA meetings or whatever. But, like, that was Nina's first time to actually have, like, free time without the threat of being tortured.
Right.
Like, what was she doing with that time?
Living life,
She was, like, planning and doing stuff with Enzo. Like, we find that out, but they hadn't had any relations or, at that point, it was just planning to get out of it.
Yeah. And then you think, like, she probably just was so happy to be free. I imagine the air smelled better just out away from the home. And so,
yeah, but there was still so much stress to
looking over your shoulder constantly. And, like, okay, is he going to get me? And just for them to get outside help, too. The unraveling of that was just so great to see how they pulled that, made her think into bringing in this Millie that's going to be our little savior. And it was quite amazing, actually, for how Nina got the whole thing to work.
So you like her master plan?
I mean, it's kind of wicked. It's kind of wicked. I mean... It's knowing you're going to throw this woman to the wolves and hope for the best is kind of wicked.
Right. That was, yes. Like, were you saying, yeah, you go, girl, like, that was awesome? Yes. Or were you like, oh, that's icky? Which, it is kind of icky, but Nina did her homework. And again, we know that Millie is a strong female character.
Yes.
And can hold her own.
Yes.
And so I love the fact that she was like, I know I'm putting this person in a horrible spot, but I know that she's more capable than me to handle the problem. And she will be more removed and doesn't have anything to lose.
Right.
And so the fact that she was like, I'm willing to let this happen. And Enzo being like, you have to go check on her. She's like, do I? At that point, I felt like Nina could have called police or, like, done something else to, like, get somebody in the
Interject.
house. Like, I don't think she
Yes.
had to go back to the house by herself at the very end.
No, she didn't need to. Yeah, right.
That seemed very strange to me. And then I was like, oh, no.
I was like, what is about to happen? I actually thought there would be another twist in all of that and go, she is throwing herself back into that.
Yeah.
What is she doing?
Right. That felt to me like the dumbest move, like putting the key in the lock. And I was like, what's going to happen? I was so nervous. And then the teeth.
All the teeth, not just all the teeth. I learned very how important dehydration and staying hydrated is. And yeah, like
I think we need to talk about some of the torture, though.
the books.
The books I thought was very strange on her stomach. I thought it was ingenious having him put it on his jaw.
Well, that was like vindicating. Like, yes,
yes. But like the first one that we hear, like the plucking of the hair.
yes.
I was like,
I was a little bit.
oh. But then I was like, is it really that bad? Or like, what, 100 hairs? And then to have to do it again. And just the strangeness of every little torture. And then to be told, like,
It's not good enough.
happening. Like, oh. The bright lights, like, just
All
so
of it.
random. Your hair, like, getting your hair colored is a privilege, and your roots are showing. My roots are showing after, like, 3 days. Like, I don't know how anybody never has their roots showing. I don't know.
And
get it.
that whole thing made me go, I again was like, okay, we need some more vindication because this is awful. Over little minute things that don't even matter.
Right. Well, and the fact that, like, she's taken away for days at a time and, like, she doesn't know what her daughter's doing. The reason why her daughter is so creepy is because she's just obeying because she's afraid.
For her mom.
Because when she messes up, her mom is punished.
Yes.
And, like, that, I mean, like, I'm grateful that she's not being punished, but it's also, like,
that's why she's Children of the
sadistic.
Corn. That's why she's the little horror child walking around. And then you feel a sense of bad for her at the end, and which is good because I know at the beginning I was like, this awful woman and her awful child.
Right.
And I hate both of them.
right. And then she gets picked up from summer camp and she's in her, like, t-shirt and shorts. And I was like, oh, I'm so happy for this little girl.
Because she's a kid, being a kid. And so
she can get dirty and, like, doesn't have to worry about her mom getting in trouble.
yes, I liked that. I liked that a lot. And I was a little worried that something would happen to her, so I was very happy at the end that she and her mom walked out and were good.
So when part 2 came along,
Yes.
how'd you feel about that?
Part 2, I mean, more twists, more surprises, a little bit shifty.
I wasn't sure if I could trust Nina. Like, it was her perspective at that point, but then I
Yes.
was like, well, can I trust you?
Right.
Is what you're saying accurate?
Because you had already formed an opinion of her.
And I was like, well, but maybe, like, she's in cahoots. Like, maybe it's actually, like, the two of them, and they're getting off on torturing somebody else. And so maybe Andrew was lying when he said they've never had live-in help before. So, like, the scratches are from someone up there who was the last maid that they had and tortured. And so, like, that's where I was like, oh, there's some twist here, and I'm trying to predict it, and maybe, like, they're in on it together. So I was, like, reading everything that she said with a grain of salt.
Because, again, you already formulated an opinion. You're like, oh, she's not great. Her, she's got underlying craziness. She's tried to drown her child, and there's something going on. And then, yes, at the end of part 2, you quickly realize, like, okay, all right, I liked this. That was good. That was great. I like where we're going with all of this. And then even looking like, all right, where in part 2 did you feel like you shifted and were like, okay, now I trust you, Nina?
I don't know that I have a specific page, but I feel like I was fed up with the gaslighting. And so it was like, I believe her.
Yeah.
And I feel like she was, like, stuck in this awful situation. I wouldn't have put it past myself, like, to have my views flipped again at the end if there was going to be another twist. But I do feel like in the middle of her going through her whole ordeal that I did believe it.
Well, you start to feel bad for her. You just get a sense of feeling bad. You know, you realize, like, this mom, really, you feel bad for her.
100%.
Yes.
And it's sad because you realize that, like, there are people in the real world. I mean, maybe not to this extent dealing with this.
Yes.
But in abusive situations.
Absolutely.
And they can't leave.
Yes.
And you're looking at the layer upon layer of what's working against her.
Right.
And, like, she needs to save up money. She needs, like, nobody believes her. And even if she went to police, like, he's bought off the police.
Right.
And the stories all clash.
Right.
And so, like, she's not believable, which is probably, like, the most terrifying thing, to just, like, have nobody believe you.
Right. I couldn't imagine. And to think that how she would feel, I got a little bit of a sense of, okay, well, maybe I would do some of those crazy things. Maybe I would kind of set myself up. I'm not sure if I was as smart, because that was actually really a smart master plan.
Yes, it was.
It took a long time to, like, formulate all of that. And so for her to do the background on Millie, figure out the right person, and then execute it, I mean, it's pretty masterful.
I also thought it was really bold of her because she hired this person without telling him.
Right.
And
didn't get punished.
Put her up in her own torture suite. What? Can you,
Yes.
like, his response when she said that she hired her, like, oh, I told you this, and she's upstairs in the attic, and he was like, like, what was his response after that? Like, that would have, like, completely changed the game. And so that's why it was weird to me that he was so kind to Millie, and especially after learning that he's a monster, like, why was he...
Well, because she fit the bill. She was beautiful. Yeah. She was all the things that Nina was. As you know, like, looking back on Nina.
Yeah.
Where she was and what she wasn't anymore. Because as you hear Millie kind of say, well, what is it about her that he loves so much?
Well, and Nina let slip, but said that she was in jail. And that was when...
Yes, like the dinner table.
Yeah. And like the light went off in his brain and was like, caged animal, like, I can do something here.
I can control this woman. Yes. And again, perfect execution.
Right. Because in that moment, it actually sounded like he was upset that she was an ex-convict. Right. But he was actually excited.
Weird.
Right. So twisted. So disgusting to even think about. One note that I wanted to ask you about was the peanut butter.
Oh, yes, the peanut butter.
So weird.
As a mom, okay, let's talk about this. If your kid was allergic to peanut butter, I mean, we all know. We're not keeping peanut butter in the house.
No, we're not. And that would have been the first thing that you told the nanny.
Absolutely.
And so that's where, like, I felt like this was a plot hole because Nina did actually care about her daughter.
Yes.
And she would have said that from the beginning.
Right.
So there's no reason why that little tidbit, why she was, like, pretending that she told her, but she didn't tell her. Like, that felt really weird. And they tried to explain it in part 2.
Yes.
Where she was like, he knows and he tries to keep the peanut butter there on the shelf, and how sadistic is that? And I was like, yeah, but you didn't tell her.
Yes, you didn't.
That was on you. Sis.
Well, and that's also, like, dangerous.
Right.
Yeah, there's this aspect in that where I go, come on now.
She did say it was just like a light rash or hives or whatever, but still. You would tell the person taking care of your child.
Absolutely.
About allergies on the first day.
Yes, and that would be like a no questions. Like, okay, they're allergic to or sensitive to. Yes, I do think the peanut butter, weird. All right, so we look at Nina and Millie and comparing them or contrasting them. Like, I don't even know. Like, do I look back and go, are they similar? How are they similar? Oh, there are similarities that I was really surprised about. Like, thinking if you think about all they went through, they had their own prison they were in.
Yes.
They both were in a sense of a prison.
Well, right. She was pregnant. She was knocked out from a one-night stand and in dire straits.
Yes.
And so, I mean, very different from being in prison for goshing somebody over the head.
Yes.
Like, beating them to death. But, yeah.
But
both
I guess
trapped.
But you look at Millie, she was in prison, but during her time in prison, she just kind of followed the rules and did kind of their thing. Where I can't imagine Nina's probably would be a lot worse.
Well, and can you imagine what Nina's life would have been like had she not been seduced by Andrew?
Amazing. Great.
Right.
Yeah. Single mom. She'll be figured out.
But can you also imagine, like, being in that position and, like, having somebody of such stature, like, look at you twice and want to take you out on a date? I'm there.
That's the
hook, line, and sinker,
romance
right?
Novel on its finest, right? Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. But that's also why I got so annoyed at Millie in all of this, because she was falling for it. And I also, like, every interaction she had with Andrew was electric, and, like, they looked at each other. And
on the couch. I mean, yes, watching TV.
In their underwear.
Yes.
And, like, just everything was so staged and, like, just... Of course that's what happened. Like,
right, yes.
Of course it was electric, and of course it was, like, no other feeling, and she could tell he felt the same way. It's like, I roll. I'm, like, reading, like, you're such an idiot. You're such an idiot. He's going to be the bad guy. I know it. Like, he's going to be the bad guy.
Yes. And I do say, like, I was a little disappointed in her. And, like, come on. Like, really? Mm-hmm. I know you're looking for a savior because right now you're struggling, but... Come on.
Right. And the fact that she was trying so hard just to raise money, and she had even said, like, she just needs to stick it out long enough to raise enough money to get away from this house. Mm-hmm. And then she's being drawn in by this man.
Yeah.
And again, he's being painted as, like, this perfect, strong, muscular, everybody loves him, everybody wants him. And that just got old to me.
Yes.
And I was like, how? No, nobody is like that.
No, nobody. And that's where it was like, okay, there can be, like, crazy people like that. There are people that are really looking
There
like
are
Millie.
people who are approachable. And there are people who are just not.
And he was too fake.
Yes.
The reason why sometimes it's not approachable. Fake nice.
I questioned whether or not he actually had a job.
Oh.
Like I told you, I thought that maybe the prenup was the other way around, and it was actually, like, Nina who was super rich.
True.
Everything just said, like, she always told him that he had meetings. Like, don't you have a meeting in the morning? Don't you have this? And, like, he's like, yes, I do have a meeting. And so, like, and then he would put his suit on and, like, drive away.
Kiss his wife and drive away.
Right. And so it just felt very like a prop job. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I was kind of like, he's doing something else. But maybe he was just an awesome business person.
Yeah, I don't know. And
it felt fake to me. Everything about him felt fake. So I was not surprised that he was the bad guy in all of this. Like, I felt very vindicated. And, like, I feel like he was trying to put suspicion on Enzo. And, like, Enzo might be the bad guy. And then he ends up being, like, the best guy.
Oh, absolutely. He was, like, the guy that you were like... Oh, and the accent. Let's not forget that, because that makes it even better. But yes, he was the best. I loved Enzo. Enzo was so, like, just from when you first meet him, you think he doesn't speak English.
Right.
And you get that whole sense of, like, okay, there's no communication, but she tries.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, fold. And then you find out at the end, you're like, oh, Enzo.
It was funny because I used to work in a factory. And so most of the people that I worked with spoke Spanish. And you would just wait to hear somebody speak in English, and you're like, oh, crap, that person knew what I was saying the whole time. Or, like, they've been listening to the conversation I've been having with this other person. But, like, that's how I felt with Enzo. And it was like, he totally knows English. Like,
or understands it at least.
He's playing dumb, and, like, I'm here for it, but, like, he definitely knows. And so that's why when he started speaking authoritatively in English, like a person without an accent,
right.
I was like, he's an undercover agent. It's totally...
I mean, it makes sense. I never thought that way, but that does make sense. It makes sense.
I'm waiting for him to come around in the next book and be the
undercover agent. I've read it. You got to get there. You're going to be surprised. Goodness. But yeah, I know. I was pleasantly surprised with Enzo. Okay, so here's my question for you. Okay. All right, so overall, what's your takeaway from the book?
My takeaway is it's too good to be true if a super rich family is offering you a lot of money and don't live in an attic. Or my answer is don't come down and sit in somebody's basement podcast studio. We might be locked in here now. I don't know.
Why is the lock on the outside? I'm just saying that is in its own, yes. Read the signs and the red flags
Yes.
the first time.
Yes.
And go, yes, good book, easy read, great to dive into.
It's definitely an easy read. I think it was fun. I was mad. I feel like there was a quote that I found here that said that McFadden, I remember waking up like in the middle of the night mad at the characters in this book. I was so angry about what was happening in the book. I kind of wanted to recreate that feeling of being so passionate about this. Like, I want to punch this character in the face. Yeah. I wanted to punch characters in the face, and she was the author saying that. And I was like, you could have written them to be nicer or less awful.
Yes. I do say there's one thing that I would, just one little part, and I wouldn't want it long. I would want Andrew's perspective.
Ooh.
Just a little bit.
Okay, that is, we need to go back to Grandma.
Yes.
Mother Evelyn.
Oof. Wicked woman.
Coming full circle to find out that she was ripping out her son's teeth as a baby.
Yes.
As a toddler.
Yes.
Like, what?
But then it does give you a little bit of sympathy to him because you think, okay, you lived in that for your life and no wonder you're so messed up.
But it just gives me so many questions of how and what did he experienced, so I feel like this could be a prequel.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, his perspective.
Yes, there could be a prequel.
Show me what evil mom was doing, because it said dad wasn't around a lot. He was busy working, and he was just with his mom.
Yes.
And so I was like, when they retired and moved to Florida, I felt very weird about that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if she had such a hold on him, like, there's no way. It all felt very weird, the mom aspect of it. And I think I even put it in my notes somewhere, or at least in my head, an Oedipus complex, which is where you love your mom.
Yes.
And
you want to please her.
The Oedipus complex goes back to the main character loving his mother.
Right.
Like, romantically. And so that, like, I kind of got that weird vibe earlier in the book, and I was like, this is
gross.
Weird. Very gross.
Yes.
And so then to come full circle at the end that she had been torturing him. So it wasn't a romantic love, but it was this really twisted relationship. But he wanted to please her, maybe by recreating what she had done, or that was all he knew. But he seemed to understand what was right and wrong in the real world.
Well, you would assume so, but...
Because he put on the show for the real world, but then that was what was happening behind closed doors.
I'm sure his mother did the same.
Right. I just have so many questions. So yes, prequel.
Yeah. Hey, Freida McFadden, if you're listening.
We got a great idea for you.
I'm sure
kick us some royalties. It'll be great.
Absolutely. I mean, my whole thing, you see Millie, she turns the tables on Andrew, forces him to endure his own punishment. Yes. And I mean, part of me is like they take action against men who abuse their wives. So her whole justifying her actions, yeah, I feel like they're justified.
Did you think that Andrew would die?
No, but I was really happy he did.
Same. I did not think that he was going to be dead.
I actually had to go back and read the prologue to remember. I forgot that it really set it up that this is where we're at, that they are dead. Someone was dead. So I almost forgot that at the end.
I definitely did, and I should have gone back. But I thought it was, I guess it was a body upstairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it literally foreshadows, you just don't think about it. Because in the beginning, when I started to get in, I thought it would have been Millie.
Right.
Yeah, I thought Millie was going to be the dead body. I mean, I was like, oh, okay, Millie's going to die.
Right.
That's going to be her. And then you get in and you're like, I read it and I was like, I'm sorry. I'm so glad he's dead.
I mean, it was several days. Can you imagine being Millie? In that instance, I was like, go girl.
Yes.
This is traumatic. And so there was part of me that was like, is she going to get in trouble for this? Is it going to fall on her? Like, she's already killed somebody before.
Right.
How is this going to get spun?
Right.
That kind of a thing. But it was gruesome. I'm glad that they, spared, because I feel like we got, day 1 and then, day 6.
Right.
And then she was Googling, how long can a person survive without water?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So the fact that it was, 6 days, and it's typically, 3 days without water.
Torture. Yeah, that sounds awful. I mean, to me, overall, I love the book. I mean, if you had to rate the book, what would you rate it?
What kind of scale are we doing? Through 5, through 10? I would probably do an 8 out of 10.
Okay. See, and this is more up my alley, so I'd be like 8.8. See, I'm going to give it almost a 9. There's just a few things that I felt like I said, Angie's perspective prequel would be just amazing.
I feel like some of the characters were a little too, not cookie cutter, but like... Predictable and like outlandishly one-sided, maybe. You're too good looking. I think that was some of the mixed reviews that I was reading too, was that like it felt like a teenager book and like the descriptors were like, he's handsome, he has muscles. Hey, look, every time we see him, he's handsome and has muscles. We're going to talk about how handsome he is and he has muscles. So it wasn't as like deep.
Right. But I will say, I do like that she didn't go, like, it's not a super romance. There is that tidbit. Yeah. There's no, like...
This was not a spicy.
No, there's no spice, right? Yeah. Like, there was a tiny bit of spice, but...
There's a lot of hate.
I'd recommend it to my mom, where some of them I'd go, no, Mom, don't read that.
100%. I tend to kind of roll my eyes at the spicy books as well. And so, like, I did enjoy that.
Yes.
Like, I was mad at the affair.
Right, yes.
But it wasn't, like, in detail.
Correct, so. Yes. I appreciated that about what that written. And so.
What's your rating? Oh, you said 8.8?
Yes.
Okay.
Not quite a 9, but just a little.
I feel like it was great. And like I said, I flew through this book. And it could be because I was turning pages and not just audiobook. Yes. My commute, I just have like 2 hours a day.
Yes.
And so however long the book is,
there is something about feeling the book in the pages. It is true.
Well, and when you are like...
Just one more page.
You can look ahead and see how long the chapter is, whereas like in the car, you can't.
Right, yes.
And so it's like, well... if it gets to another chapter, I'll stop.
To another chapter,
like,
right, yes.
But I'm like, no, I need to read until this page. Yeah, so that was fun.
Yes, but overall, I liked it. I mean, I'm not sure I'll read it again, maybe, 10 years down the road, but great place to start if you haven't read in a while.
Absolutely, and a great place for this podcast to start.
Absolutely.
This has been so much fun.
This has been so much fun.
I'm so glad that we're doing this, and I'm so glad that you're doing this with us. Guys, please reach out to us. You have suggestions about what books we should be reading?
Yes, please. Let us know.
We'll put them on our TBR.
Yes.
Is that the right words?
To be read?
Yeah, my to be read list?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Look at me, I'm so young and hip on my TBR.
Still doesn't make you approachable, but yeah.
You know what? We're working on it. We're working on it.
Well, we hope to become approachable to you all and look forward to hearing from you.
All right. Have a great one.
Okay, the episode is over. If you enjoyed it, could you give us a thumbs up or leave a review?
It goes a long way toward helping us grow and meet new people like you.
Subscribe to get notified when the next episode drops.
You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook to see what we're reading next, recommend new books, and join the conversation.
We're so excited to have you on board.